Ryan sat in the bleachers of the high school basketball court, her eyes fixed on the intense match playing out before her. She couldn't help but be mesmerized by the grace and skill of the players on the court, especially her crush, Smith. He was the star player of the team, a heartthrob with a dazzling smile that could make any girl swan. As the game progressed, Ryan found it hard to focus solely on the match. Her gaze kept drifting to Smith, who moved effortlessly across the court, scoring point after point for his team. She couldn't help but admire his confidence and talent, even if he seemed unapproachable with the throng of fangirls always surrounding him. I see you have got your eyes on Smith again, Maria Ryan's best friend said, beside her watching the game. With a knowing smile teased Ryan, nudging her with her elbow mid Ryan felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment. It's not like that, she protested weakly, but Maria just laughed and shook her head. Just admit it, Ryan. You have got a major crush on him, Maria said, grinning mischievously. Ryan rolled her eyes but couldn't deny the truth in Maria's words. She had been infatuated with Smith for as long as she could remember, even though she knew he was out of her league. Unlike the other popular girls who fawned over him, Ryan was not as well known or confident, but she always held on the hope that maybe, just maybe, he will notice her one day. It was her way to distract her mind from something she thought she was not meant to just deny. As the game drew to a close, Smith team emerged victorious, much to the delight of the cheering crowd. Vine clapped along with the rest of the spectators, her heart pounding with excitement. She watched as Smith and his teammates celebrated their win against other team, the trophy gleaming in the bright lights. Suddenly, Smith's gaze flickered toward Ryan in the shrine, and he gave her a smile that made her heart skip a beat. Her cheeks flushed pink as she locked eyes with him, feeling a rush of emotion she couldn't quite explain. Maria nudged Ryan with a knowing grin. Looks like you have caught his eyes. She teased, waggling her eyebrows suggestively. Ryan swayed at her friend playfully but couldn't shake the flirting feeling in her chest. She watched as Smith made his way over the stand with his team, the trophy held aloft in triumph. He stopped in front of Ryan, his smile warm and inviting. Great game, right? He said, his voice sending shivers down her spine. Thanks for cheering us on. Ryan could barely find her voice, her heart pounding in her ears. Congrats. She managed to reply, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. Smith smile widened before he turned to rejoin his teammates. Ryan felt like she was floating on air, her thoughts resumed by the brief but electrifying exchange. Maria nudged again, her eyes twinkling. Looks like someone made an impression, she said, her teasing tone filled with affection while the other fangirls glaring at her in jealousy and Smith's unapproachable aura. But for now, she allowed herself to bask in the glow of his smile and the spark of possibility that inched within her. One couldn't help but smile back, the giddy feeling in her chest overpowering any lingering doubts. Maybe there was a chance for her and Smith after all, even if he was the unattainable heartthrob of the school. As the crowd began to disperse, Vine and Maria made their way out of the crowd, their laughter ringing through the halls. Vine couldn't stop reliving the moment when Smith had smiled at her, her heart still racing with excitement. I can't believe he noticed me, she gushed to Maria, her eyes shining with happiness. Maria chuckled, linking arms with Vine as they walked. Well, maybe now you will finally have a shoot with him, she said, her tone hopeful. Don't raise my hopes so high, Maria, she said as they both walked through the hallway. Oh, really? And what about your diary in which you wrote your fantasies, huh? She teased as Vine glared her. Yeah, why you read my diary? I'm gonna kill you if you tease me and not going to share anything with you anymore. Do you read anything else? She said while Maria laughed as they stopped in front of the classroom. Okay, okay, I'm not teasing you and I just read your fantasies. They were so interesting I couldn't stop myself. But tell me, did you really have those fantasies for Smith? She asked while one shook her head. No, I mean I have a huge crush on him, but those fantasies are for my future boyfriend. Maria chuckled, hearing wine. So that means Smith still have the chance to be your boyfriend. Who knows? She nudged to Wine teasingly and flished when they heard a deep voice from their back. If you guys don't step inside the class or let me enter. He said his voice deep and cold while Ryan and Maria both exchanged shocked and terrified glances as he was the only strict professor in the whole school whom everyone is scared of. Good morning, Professor. Please, you go first. She stepped aside, pulling Maria with her, while Jungkook entered inside the class after taking last glance at Ryan. Wow, why he gave me that look? She whispered as his stares gave her shivers. He definitely heard our conversation. She whispered as they both made their way inside the class together, like Jungkook was not their professor but a ghost. So, why it's bothering him? I don't know, but I feel like he doesn't like whatever we were talking. She replied slowly while Ryan looked at her confusedly as they both sat on their seats. It's strange, but I think he's like this. Don't you know? He always acts so cold. She murmured as Maria nodded. Guys, if you've done your business, shall we start the class? He asked, and Ryan felt her heart was about to come out from her mouth because he was saying this while directly looking at her. He rushed to her cheeks, and before it gets visible, she immediately looked down on her notebook to avoid his stares. While Jungkook started his class, she always felt so nervous whenever she found him looking at her, but she never figured out why his presence always felt intimidating to her. No doubt why girls are crazy for him. He's alright. She wrote this on Vine's notebook and smiled when Vine glared at her. Yeah, he is. There is no doubt that he is more handsome and captivating than Smith. She wrote down and bit her lip to prevent her smile. Smith will be crying in the corner if he found out this. She wrote and covered her mouth as she was about to laugh because Vine made crying face. She had crush on Smith, but she never felt something else for him. Smith may has ability to make her heart race, but Jungkook's stare are enough to give her whole zoo of butterflies. But as he is their professor, Vine never dared to talk about this as she respect him the most. As Jungkook was explaining important points, he noticed Vine and Maria secretly smiling to each other. He felt annoyed as he recalled their conversation outside the class that he unintentionally overheard but couldn't hear it all, and now he was boiling in jealousy. Miss Vine and Miss Maria, you both can go out and continue your conversation in which you are interested. Now, he pointed towards the door while Vine and Maria both looking at him shockingly. The two, without any excuses, got up and started collecting her stuff, ready to leave because all the class knows he will not gonna listen anything if he himself catch any student breaking rules in his period. Leave your stuff right there and get out, he said and turned towards the board to write something to explain while Juan Maria signed before they leave their stuff and went out of the class. What happened to him suddenly? We usually get caught like this many times, but today he was so harsh. She said and pouted madly while folding her arms around her chest. I don't know, but he seemed so angry. She sighed heavily and leaned on the wall outside of the class. What happened to him exactly? He was all fine yesterday and I didn't manage in solving the equations too. Then why he's behaving like that? She thought as she didn't understand Jungkook's sudden change in behavior as it was somehow hurting her. It all started 2 months before when Ryan asked Jungkook to teach her personally because she was weak in Jungkook's subject that was chemistry. She was having difficulty mostly in equations and couldn't manage to pass or get at least average marks. So when she asked him a favor, he didn't deny it as she was his student and needs help. So Jungkook ended up being her personal tutor, and in this time, the two start having feelings for each other but couldn't find the courage to confess. One was hiding her feelings out of respect as he was her professor and might think she was just using him, and Jungkook was holding himself because she was his student and he doesn't want Ryan will thought he is taking advantage of her. In this time of period, the two get to know each other very well. Jungkook was totally different in his personal space. He was funny, he was soft. He sometimes scolded her when she wasn't concentrating. One started observing him and find him totally a boyfriend material, while Jungkook find her lovable and trustable, a girl who deserves to be cherished and loved by him. Okay, class is over. You all can go now, and you guys should be prepared for a surprise test. And if anyone still has any doubt, you can ask. He said while slowly walking towards Vine's desk. Students start to collect their stuffs while Jungkook picked Vine's notebook in his hand. As he flipped through the pages, he found their conversation written on a page. There was a lot of things Wine and Maria were discussing, and that's when he found discussion of him. A smile appeared on his lip and a little hope as well. When he read that what they were talking about him, Jungkook then flipped some more pages, but he didn't found anything, so he put the notebook just and his eyes landed on Wine's diary. Excuse me, Professor, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience, she said after coming towards her desk to collect wines and her stuff. That made Jungkook a little startled. He nodded and hid Wine's diary on his back. You guys should focus on studies rather than other stuff, he said as Maria nodded multiple times. We will gonna try our best to not focus. I mean, we will gonna focus on your class, she hurriedly said and bowed before grabbing everything that was on the desk and ran out of the class while Van was speaking from the door. And when Jungkook's eyes landed on her, she immediately hid herself. It's getting hard to control on my feelings, Van. What are you doing to me? He murmured under his breath and looked at the diary. At evening, Van reached at Jungkook's house. She was totally unaware of the fact that Jungkook has her diary and he already finished reading it like it was a novel and he was a crazy novel lover. Professor John, I heard you are going to take a surprise test in this week. She asked, looking at him while Jungkook nodded. He was looking totally normal, not like in school. It was as if he has a switch button that he pressed and his mood got changed in no time. Yes, but right now, I have a surprise for you, he said, and Van found herself gulping a lump unknowingly. Surprise for me? What do you mean? She asked confusedly while Jungkook smiled and slid the diary on the table. That made Van's eyes widen. She immediately picked her diary and hid it like it would be helpful to keep her secrets that already opened by Jungkook. Where did you find it? And please say that you didn't read anything. Please, please, please. She asked and prayed that her secrets are still hidden, but her heart dropped when Jungkook scratched the back of his head with a grin. I don't want to, but I read everything that is written in it, he said without looking at her to avoid her because she was looking at him in disbelief and he was feeling bad to invade her privacy. You are joking, right? She scoffed in disbelief when Jungkook shook his head. She wanted the ground swallowed her right away and she disappeared. Look, Ryan, I'm sorry, but I couldn't hold myself when I heard you are interested in Smith, he said after inhaling a deep breath, and one felt butterflies in her every part of body. She knew what's coming next because she could feel it. I didn't know when I started liking you and your company, but I was ready to keep my feelings when I heard you are interested in Smith. I felt jealous. I was angry, but it wasn't intentional that I found your and Maria's conversation on your notebook and I couldn't hold myself after that, but ended up hiding your diary. Jungkook stood up and sat on his knees just right in front of Ryan, who was sitting on the couch like a statue before he softly held her hands in his. The warmth of his hand made Ryan to come back on earth. Her heart was pounding in her chest as their eyes met. Whenever I'm saying right now, it's just because I got that courage after reading your diary, your thoughts about me, Ryan. Thank God that I found out you felt the same thing for me too. He said while smiling made Ryan's heart flutter like her cheeks turned red. You should not do that. I mean, not that, but you should not read my diary. It's so embarrassing. There was a lot of things in it. Gosh. She had her face in her palms, made Jungkook chuckle. He again held her hands, still on his knees, his eyes filled with love, and as he kissed on her hands. Well, when you love me, then there is no secret left, no hide and seek. Now I am gonna make your fantasies come true, he said while smirking as he winked, made my cheeks more red. Are you sure? Then are we going to only kiss for like 10 minutes? She asked, made Jungkook laugh. Not only kiss, but we are going to do so much more. And you are not allowed to think about other guy. Thank God I found out everything on time. You were crushing over him so that you could stop thinking about me, huh? He said while raising his brow. But I couldn't. I didn't feel anything for him the way I feel for you. She pouted and her eyes widened when Jungkook back on her that pouty lips. I love you so much. Finally, you are mine. We will handle and face everything together, he said as he pulled her into a hug. I love you too, Jungkook, she said as she hugged him back without caring about anything. Can I kiss you? He asked as Ryan noted before Jungkook pulled her in a deep and passionate kiss that got more hungry and intense each passing seconds. Ryan and Jungkook both were basking the new feelings together. The new chapter has started with the beginning of the new year with true love and new challenges that will going to make their bond more stronger and unbreakable.